Hello and welcome to Talking Books. I'm Jill de Villiers. We're going to do something completely different today. Instead of interviewing an author in the studio, I'm going to share a video about Andrew Marshall and his autobiography, Dissecting Wobbles. The book takes the reader on an epic journey through a life marred by the rare and devastating neuromuscular condition, Friedreich's ataxia. Andrew teamed up with local novelist Andrew Miller, who edited the manuscript. The result is a funny, poignant, and often shocking account of the hidden universe of wheelchairs and disability. Let's take a look.
We were living in a room at that stage because I'd let out my townhouse for financial reasons, and this diagnosis came through. I'd never heard of Friedreich's ataxia, and I thought, I can't tell him while we're confined to this tiny little room. So we went away. We went to a lion park in Potchefstroom, I think it was, and there was a young chap in the cottage next door to us in what we call a moon buggy, and he was very disabled, and I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to tell Andrew? And that was one of the first questions when I did tell him was, will I be like the chap next door? And I couldn't answer. Well, when he was at school in grade 1, I could see that things weren't right. And I was actually labelled an over-anxious mother. But as he progressed, he began falling, and he just wasn't progressing at school with the writing. He's also dyslexic, which didn't help. That I realised, but I didn't know what else was wrong with him. We had to send out our blood tests to England, and that would have taken months. So eventually we found a pathologist in Stellenbosch who was setting up testing, and it's a genetic disease. So he'd obviously had it from birth, because both the mother and the father have to have the same defect on the same gene on the same whatever. But because his count was higher than, I think it's 50, it made him, that count was very high. Whereas the rest of the family, we were under that mark, so we will always be carriers. FA is Friedreich's ataxia. It's a neuromuscular degenerative disease. And FA falls under the umbrella of Muscular Dystrophy Society, and under that umbrella there are about 80 or more conditions.
I started with my story because at first, I was just writing things down to get my emotions and feelings out there. And then it evolved itself into a book after I met my editor, is a wonderful guy, but also as a type of muscular dystrophy.
I recognized so much of myself in it. It was quite freaky, and so I knew immediately it would be a book, because Andrew's voice is extremely strong, So the rest with books is just technicalities, If the voice is strong and there's something to say, it's a book. And so I knew within half a page, I was like, yeah, no, this needs to be published, I also felt like he had done a better job than I had when I tried writing about these ideas in kind of coming out with a unique and funny and kind of strong voice.
My hope is that people will understand that with reading my words that there's a real person inside there, and that I have the same emotions as other people, and I want them to get a bit of a insight into what somebody like us, like me, goes through.
I feel like we're in a weird time and place in the world, because on the one hand, like, to be disabled, there's never been a better time, right, in human history to be disabled. So we need to get that straight. You know, there are more opportunities now than there ever have been for people who struggle physically in the world. But at the same time, I think we're always in danger of this kind of Special Olympics vibe, you know, where everyone's roaring around doing their personal best times and athletes and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, the real world for disabled people is not like that, you know. And I feel like to give people a voice, to start kind of creating channels for people to communicate what it's like to be different, you know, I think is really important in South Africa. Yeah, and it's not just disability. I think we've got so many communities in South Africa where people struggle with being isolated, with feeling isolated, like they can't participate, you know. And I think it's important that as a community, as a society, we give people opportunities to express what it's like to live in the difference. I think he goes into places that people don't go. You know, people don't say these things out loud, the reality of what it is to live with a body that's dying, you know, and he goes straight in there, you know, and I think it's a breath of fresh air, you know, for anyone who lives this kind of life, and for anyone who wants to know what it actually is to be that person. Yeah.
I met Andrew many, many years back when he was a little boy in the Cups, fantastic little kid, enjoying it. And I saw him, how deteriorated now and then when I've met him afterwards. Know Shirley very well, that was a good friend of his. I love him. And we need people like Andrew and his writings behind the scenes to give us a perception of the ups and downs in life. Because you see somebody going through a tough time, he's a typical character in that category. My daughter that was deaf and dumb when she was born, couldn't speak or read, and how she coped and carried on, and with the help of us. And I think Andrew had a lot of help, obviously, to mobilize him. But the ups and downs is in that book, and we need that kind of experience to read it, to understand it, to understand what it takes of somebody going through it. And with all the negative publicity in the world these days of politics and reading the paper every single day, I think we need the likes of Andrew around and his writings. I've done very little in what Andrew has done. I just know the guy. I know his ways. I've spoken to him a lot of times. I've taken him to cricket. But the work that he's done is 99.99% of anybody outside that had close links to him. I think his mum is probably the closest to get a pat on the shoulder and say, well done with what you've done and everything that's happening behind the scenes.
It was difficult during the days that I was coming home at 8 o'clock. I was a nursing sister and coming home late. It was difficult through those days, but we're a team and we just do things together. And we're there for each other. He's there for me too.
To live the life I live, such a privileged life, and to have so much abundance around me. And I want to give back to other people that are in the same boat as me, or perhaps even in a far worse situation than I am. And so giving to the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation is really important to me, to try and help them. And then with some of the other money, I want to start another initiative. So keep tuned for that.
I would like to thank the producer of the video, Bevan van Rooyen, and Magnesium. The book is Dissecting Wobbles by Andrew Marshall and can be bought through Exclusive Books, Loot, and Andrew's website. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.